What's going on, everybody? It's Nice Pants Lance. I'm here with my 2019 Triumph Speed Twin, and I'm going to give you a full ownership review. Reviving a name from the 1930s, Triumph released the Speed Twin in 2019 as an addition to their modern classic line. This bike is really based on the Triumph Thruxton R, but with more creature comforts. Instead of a solo seat, it's got a more comfortable bench seat. Instead of clip-ons, it's got regular straight handlebars. Same 1200cc liquid-cooled parallel twin with the same tune and configuration as the Thruxton R. However, it comes with KYB cartridge forks and an adjustable KYB shock instead of the premium suspension of the Thruxton R. Much better as a daily rider, without losing that retro roadster character. I bought this bike new, and I've since added a bunch of modifications and about 6,300 miles worth of riding to it. Ducati throttle spacers, DNA air filter, Cone Engineering X-pipe, Cone Engineering Shorty Performers, 17-tooth front sprocket, tune, and lots of cosmetic mods. I've done all the part installations and maintenance myself, and I can tell you this bike is very, very easy to work on, very accessible, and required tooling is minimal. I really like the style of this bike. Triumph has knocked it out of the park with their attention to detail. Everything looks high quality, from the styled motor, the beautiful twin clocks, the little bits of brushed aluminum all over this bike. As you can tell, most of the brushed aluminum has been powder coated black, but that's just my personal style choice. They even styled the throttle bodies to resemble their older carbureted models. I bought this one with the silver ice and storm gray paint job, which I think looks stunning. It costs a little extra for the paint job, but they even included the signature of the person who painted it. How cool is that? Despite having retro styling, this bike is not short of features and technology. Dual disc Brembos with ABS and switchable traction control, the motor is liquid cooled, fuel injected, and the throttle by wire with multiple riding modes. LED lighting all around. The twin clocks are analog, but the LCD screens display riding modes, miles till empty. They have a gear indicator, odometer, 2 trip meters, live miles per gallon, average miles per gallon, a clock, and traction control. There's even a USB plug under the seat that I use to charge my phone. This bike sits very tall with comfortable ergonomics and a very versatile seating position. I'm 6 feet tall, 220 pounds with a 32-inch inseam, and I feel pretty comfortable at all times. My upper body is straight up and down, my arms moderately relaxed, with my legs almost straight underneath me. Having ridden nothing but cruisers before this, took me a while to adjust to the position of the pegs. I'd stab my calves coming to a stop, or I'd completely miss them taking off from a stop. Although, I've completely adjusted to them and find them very comfortable now. Standing up on the pegs feels very natural as well. The stock bar end mirrors are surprisingly good. Good shape, easy to adjust, and I'm not just staring at my elbows the whole time. I want to talk about the versatile seating position for a sec. The flat bench seat and ergonomics allow a ton of motion and freedom when riding solo. Sliding back on the seat allows a good aerodynamic tuck and a comfortable position for sporty riding, but sliding closer to the tank comfortably straightens your upper body and takes all the weight off of your hands and wrists. I can handle about 3 hours before I'm begging to hit a rest stop. Perfect for day trips, but I wouldn't recommend a cross-country trip without a new seat. The bike has a 3.8 gallon gas tank and gets around 50 miles to the gallon. You can ride over 150 miles before needing to fill up. It's not too bad. The electronic throttle has amazing feel and snap to it. The difference between rain, road, and sport mode isn't huge, but enough to be useful in many situations. Rain mode doesn't actually reduce overall power, but it changes how the power comes on for more gentle takeoffs. Sport mode not only sharpens the throttle feel, but also lets the bike rev out a few hundred more RPM. Triumph's torque assist clutch is also scary light for being a 1200. I have never ever gotten clutch hand fatigue on this bike. Very quiet and tactile feel when putting it into gear, but moving through the gearbox feels very light and easy. This bike is a total sleeper. It only weighs 432 pounds dry, but makes 96 horsepower at 6,700 RPM and 84 foot-pounds of torque at 4,900 RPM. It's not super sport fast, but it's brutally quick. One of my favorite parts about the motor is the torque. It delivers most of its torque from 3,000 RPM, and its super flat torque band gives you the freedom to pull away at any engine speed. This bike will give you the feeling that you have power anywhere in any gear. This motor isn't afraid to rev out high either, and the addition of my mods and a sprocket have allowed this bike to see 140 miles per hour and pull off sub 4 second 0 to 60s. It goes well, and it stops pretty well too. The dual 320mm discs with 4-piston Brembo calipers up front and 220mm single disc twin piston calipers in the rear are strong and kinda overkill for regular street riding in my opinion. If the severe engine braking wasn't enough, I barely have to breathe on the brakes to get it to stop. If I took this bike to the track, I would have nothing but confidence in these brakes for sure. My only complaint is that the stock brake pads squeak and squeal something fierce. They make a ton of noise when I'm riding. Whew. The suspension is probably just good enough for sporty riding, but more than adequate for commuting. The cartridges in the front don't take huge potholes and railroad tracks gracefully, and it does feel a little twitchy and unstable in the turns. But the turn-in is sharp, the lean angle is decent, and it touches down well from a wheelie. I love the adjustability of the shocks in the rear, but it's almost impossible to adjust them with the stock pipes on, and the adjusting tool is horrible. Seriously, Triumph, what were you thinking with this one? The Pirelli Rosso 3 tires that come with the bike handle wonderfully and have a ton of grip in the corners. I would have no problem doing a track day with those tires. Only issue is that they only lasted a few thousand miles. I currently have a Dunlop Q3 in the rear, and it was awful. I wouldn't recommend this tire to my worst enemy. Had all sorts of clearance and chain rubbing issues. This model with the cool paint scheme will cost you about $12,700, with the base model starting at $12,200. I think the 2022 models start at $12,500. The bike is in the same realm as the Ducati Scrambler 1100, the BMW R9T, and the Indian FTR 1200. Pricing wise, the Triumph is smack dab in the middle. Priced higher than all the base models of its competitors, but also priced lower than the higher spec versions of its competitors. Performance wise, they're all very similar. The Triumph is without a doubt the torquey one of the bunch, but doesn't quite have the top end of the rest. The Triumph, in my opinion, is the best looking and best sounding one of the bunch, but it lacks a few features to keep the price down. Cruise control, premium suspension, and a TFT display are a few of the features it lacks. What makes this bike special is its ability to do everything well. It's torquey and it loves cruising, but will rev out if you ask it to. It's comfortable, but it's not lazy. Light and comfortable for solo riding, but has adjustability to carry a passenger. It looks great, sounds great, but handles and goes like a sport bike. Perfect for day trips, city riding, light off-roading, and a day at the track or drag strip. It can do stoppies, wheelies, and burnouts. You can keep up with sport bikes just fine, but will feel at home just cruising with your Harley buddies. You'll get a ton of compliments and attention anywhere you go.
That's a nice ride.
Best part is you won't break the bank to do it. If you enjoyed my video, please give me a like. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see all the content I've made on this bike. Don't forget to find me on Facebook and Instagram. Until next time, peace.